Okay, so in this video, I'm going to cover how to set up a container using a Docker application to do it. And we're going to pull some image from the public repository, and we're going to just demonstrate how you can use a container to deploy your applications. All right, without wasting any much time, I'm going to go ahead and activate my Cloud Shell here. We'll pull this up. So I'm going to enter this command, and what I'm going to do here is to run a Docker command, and it's going to try to run this container. There's a public container called hello world, and we're going to see what command I get over here. You can see it said unable to find image hello world locally, so then it went to the public library for this container for Docker image or container, and then pull it down. And you can see that's the shard to let you know you actually get it, and then it tells you exactly what happened. Now, if this image, Docker image, were to be, or Docker image was to be on my system, it would not have pulled it off from the public library. For example, I'm going to type the same command again, and you're going to see now it didn't go on the net. It did not give you this error, these messages here that I got earlier on when it said unable to find the image locally. When I ran it over here, it just ran it, and it says the image is working normally. If you want to see what image I have, you can just go ahead and type Dockers and type images, and you can see that I have these images now. All right, I'm going to pull this up just so you could see my screen a little bit. I'm going to repeat that, and you can see that I have, I've pulled down this image, and you can see it's a very tiny image, about 1.84 kilobyte, and the image was actually created about 8 months ago. And so it's very important. Again, don't forget, I'm going to show you again because I think this is very important. When I type the Docker images, see what I have. But earlier on, when I ran this Docker hello world, you can see it tells you exactly what happened. It shows that the installation appears to be working. The Docker client on your system contacted the Docker daemon. Daemon is another word for service, in Linux environment. And then you can see the daemon service pull the hello image from the Docker hub. That's a public registry. And then called the Docker daemon created a new container from that image, which runs the executable that produces the output you are currently reading. You can definitely see that. You can see hello world. See that? See hello world. That message that you see, in order for these to be displayed, this first step actually happened. The Docker service created a new container from that image, which runs the executable that produces the output you're currently reading here. That's the output. And of course, the Docker daemon, which is the server, streamed the output to the Docker client, which sent it to your terminal. That's it. It's very straightforward. So we're going to go to the next step now. If I ask you to look at what Docker service might be running, or process, you can just type this. Remember, this PS is just a normal command for Linux. You can see we couldn't find anything there, but one of the things you can actually do is to go ahead and touch -A, and that will let you see services or process that has run and stopped. As you can see, each time we run these Docker run hello world, it actually initiate the process. The process, run this command, and then it run and then died. That's just what we have. We have 3 that have run and then exited. So that's what we did. So now let's go ahead and use and build our own image, and then we're going to use a simple node application. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing in the process over here, I'm going to create a directory, make a directory, and then enter into that directory. So make directory is going to make test directory, and then I'm going to cd to enter into that directory right there. I already have this directory before that I've created in the past before. You might be wondering where it is. If you run to enter over here, you can see the test folder. I'm going to remove it because I want to show you you know, how to make this work. Now if I press this enter now, you might have an error message because the folder is saying, well, I cannot remove the folder. But that's very easy. I can just come over here and just type recursively and press enter, and then it's gone. If there's something in the folder that may not go, I might have to say -R and F to delete it by force. So I'm going to clear up my screen here, and then I'm going to go ahead and type this command again. You can see it's created that folder, and I'm going to create what I will call a configuration file. You know, they call it a Docker file. Docker needs a text file that has a list of instruction of what to do. So I'm going to run this command over here. If you can just look at it, I'm just typing a simple cat command to, you know, print or to take everything here into this file, and when it's done, to wrap it up as the end of file, and to give the file a name, you know, called Docker file. That's really what is there, you know. So I'm going to press enter now, and now if you press here, you can see I have that Docker file, and I can use nano to view the content of this Docker file so you could see. This is just a simple command. When you see this pound sign, it means that this line is a comment. It's not doing anything. You know, it's just there for you to understand what this command really is doing. So again, this one is just going to say pull down a Docker image from node 6, and you know where to do that. It's going to go to the public registry for Docker. It's going to pull down an image on node 6, and it's saying create a working directory. Okay, that working directory is going to be app. Inside that image, it's going to pull down an image. Inside the image, it's going to ask Docker to create a folder, a working directory called app, and it's going to copy whatever is in the current directory into this folder called app. It's going to open port 80. As you can imagine, it's going to be a web-based application, and it's actually saying that when you do that, go ahead and run a JavaScript called app.js using Node when the container launches. You know, you can see CMD, you know, command prompt is saying, you know, once, you know, the container launches, go ahead and run this JavaScript. So that's really what that configuration file is telling Docker to do. We're going to see how we're going to use it later. So again, it's very important. Do not forget what is inside this image. You know, I can definitely, you know, run you guys through it again. You know, what you're looking at over here is simply an initial line that is telling, you know, Dockers, you know, to pull down this official Docker image from Node version 6. It's very, very important. This is just your base parent image, and it's going to pull it from official Docker you know, image, and we've walked through the rest of the stuff over here. It's just really not a big deal. Then I'm going to go ahead and create the JavaScript that's going to be my application. You can see I'm running something very similar that I did earlier on. I'm saying, you know, print out, copy the content over here into a file called app.js and make it to the end of file. As you can just see, just by looking at these you know, application, you can see this is just a really simple HTTP server that listens on port 80. I'm going to press enter now, and I'm going to go into the application for you to see what I mean. So you can take a look at this right now. This is just a really very simple HTTP server that listens on port 80 and then returns hello world. That's really what it does. That's all it does. So and it's not something that is really unique. It's just really pretty simple application. All right. So now that we have our script, clear up again. So now that I have my Docker configuration file and I have my very small JavaScript app that I've written over here, it's time for me now to go ahead and build my image. Remember, I've already issued a command, and -t that you're looking at over here is telling Dockers the name for this image, and the :01 is to target. It's good when you're going to have more than one image, so you can be able to tell the version of your image that you built. And so that's really what this command is really doing. And Docker is going to look at these Docker configuration file to know what to do. And you can see this sign here, this period over here. Is you have to run this command in your current directory, because that is where Docker is going to look to find this file. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now, and Docker is going to start and go on and start building my image, and it's going to run through this process until the image is completed. It takes a couple of minutes, and then Dockers will be done. You can see that it's reading line by line the instruction that I included in the Docker configuration file. This is 1 of 5, this is 2 of 5, this is 3 of 5, 4 of 5, and 5 of 5. And if you remember, he's doing exactly what I wrote earlier in the configuration file. So if you want to check what we got right now, you can just go ahead and type your Docker images. And now you can see that is the original image that we pulled down from Docker original repository. As this image here, that is the container that we pulled down the first time that we ran. And this is the image that I created from this base image. So you can see that. Let's just kind of see that. That's pretty straightforward here. Except that this image now has got some application that we built that is running in it. So now I can go ahead and run this module. Because you can see now we have a container that is running on this base node, right? And I can just go ahead and I'm going to clean it up a little bit and clear the screen, move this thing up to the top. So that's the image. Here is my image, my base image, and that's represent my node. And I'm going to go ahead and run this module. I'm going to run the container that is based on this image that I built. So here is the command I'm just telling Docker to run. And remember, on the container that is running over here, we open port 80 over that application. So what I'm doing over here is essentially to map that my host port 4000 to that application, the container app on port 80. And I just give it a name. You can give it anything you want here, totally up to you. If you like, you can call these Minneapolis. All right. Can give it a Minneapolis. That allows you to be able to refer to this application with that almost like a nickname. And if you press enter now, you can see the application is beginning to run. And one of the things you could do is you can access this application by opening up another shell. And you can see this is my previous one here, and on the second one over here I can just type this, and you can see hello world, right? Because I've mapped port 80 to 4000, so anytime I access anything on port 4000, it will automatically forward it to port 80. That's what I have over here. Now you could see that if I were to terminate these shell, if I close this shell environment, it's going to stop running these web application. So there's a way for you to actually stop this application and run it in the background. That way, if you close your shell, it wouldn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you how this works. So I'm going to kill this now, and if I kill it, if I go back and type this command, you can see it fails to connect. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my application, and you can type docker and type stop, and I have Minneapolis as my application here. Minneapolis, that's the name we gave to our application earlier on, and I'm going to use ampersand over here. I'm going to type dockers again, and I'm going to say remove Minneapolis. Alright, so essentially, because one of the things that you could look at if I were to type dockers here, if you type ps, you don't see anything. If I type ps-a, you see what I'd run earlier on. That is the name of my application, Minneapolis. See that? That's a nickname that I gave to Minneapolis, and it ran as Minneapolis, but then it's no longer running because we closed that shell. So when I come over here, I'm saying stop Minneapolis altogether and then remove it. Essentially, I'm removing my container, because that's the name that I gave to that container, which is my virtual app. So I've stopped it and I've removed it. If you were to run this command again, you can see it's gone. That application in that container is gone. That's how quick and how easy it is to get rid of a container. So the next thing I'm doing over here is I'm going out and running Minneapolis again, as you can see. Running Minneapolis again, only that this time around I'm using -d, and it will run it in the background. Similar to what I ran earlier on, but now it's running in the background. If I were to go back and type the command that I typed earlier on, you can see it's working now. And even if I close this shell, it will still continue to work. Now there are a long number of things that you can do over here at this point. If I type docker docker process here, I can see my container ID. You can see it's running. So I can go over here and type logs, and if I type logs, one of the things I could do, if I type container ID here, I can actually monitor everything that is happening on this log. If somebody connect to it, for whatever reason, go over here, type this again, type this twice, it will begin to show me various activity that is taking place, in this environment. So one of the things that is very important that I think you should take note. Now let's see how quickly it is for you to modify your application. I can go into my display environment again and go to Nano and type my application. Here I can quickly just do a simple modification over here and say water beautiful day. Go ahead and save it, and I can go. So I've modified my application here just a little tiny bit, and one of the things I'm going to do over here now is to go and run the Docker image again. And here I'm going to go ahead and build, and this one around I'm going to call this another node app, and I'm going to give it 02 to show it's a version 2, and I'm going to say period, so I want it to run from this current directory. Using that image, it's going to go ahead right now and build another image with a different version of application. And now I have another application here. And so one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring down my old command that I did when I was trying to run. And now let's run this, because this is another image entirely. Let's call this one Rochester. So, and it's gonna be from, so I'm gonna run this command now, and let's see what I just done over here, and now we're good to go. So essentially now, if you were to type dockers ps right now, you can see I have my Rochester Minneapolis application running side by side. I can go ahead and access Rochester, and Rochester is running on What a Beautiful Day. You can see. And essentially what I've simply just done really quickly here is to just modify my application, you know, create and build, use Docker to build another image and a container, and then my application is running in a container, and just like that, I have another application that is running very, very quickly. This is how powerful these can be. I can easily even get into any of these container if I know the container ID. For example, I can come over here and get into this container here, break space, and I can type bash, and if I do, you can see now I'm inside my container now, and I can type ls, and you can see that's the Docker file. I'm happy that when I build this container, you can see. So this is actually a container that is running on this as a base image. So it's very important that you understand that there's a lot of stuff that you can potentially do that gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of options. You can exit out of here and get back to our own shell environment again, and that gives us quite a lot of other stuff. You can actually inspect a container simply by typing something like this. I can come back here and inspect a container. See, shows you all the logs, the DNS, and so on and so forth. It's a kind of a JSON file format. You can pass through it. One other thing you could also do, if you if you know the container, the container ID, I'll clear this up again and just put this up again. Find this Docker inspect format here, and then if I copy the container ID, it just tell me. Again, don't forget container ID. You can get your container ID. We'll just say Docker. Yes. I'm gonna look at my syntax again, make sure I get this right. And just like that, it's again, be careful, watch out for those little syntax. They can just throw you off. Again, you can see there's 2 brackets here, I only have 1 here, so that's the reason. So see, I can find out the IP address of one of the other container, and I can see the other one is 3, the other one is 2. So that is you know, part of the information that we have to. You can analyze your container and get quite a lot of information about them. All right, let's do a quick recap. We downloaded, we pulled down a container, Hello container. We ran it, and then from there we pulled down our own base image, original base image from Docker. We built a container application from there, and we ran the application. We modified the JavaScript, and we build another base image that has another container application on it, and those are the 2 ones that you're looking at up here. So we can actually go ahead and publish our own, you know, our container. You know, you can go ahead and publish your image to the Google Container Registry. You know, so that any other person can actually take, you know, use it if they want to. Before we go ahead and do that, you need a couple of information in order for you to publish your own image. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to look at the name of your project. Now, there are more than one way to do that. If you type gcloud config list project, it's going to let you know your project is CVF 1071. You can also look at it up here, CVF 1071. I recommend you use something very simple for your image, for your project name, because you have to type it so many times. So it can be a pain if you do not. So here I'm going to go ahead and come over and tag my image over here, and I'm going to change this one to my project 1071. That's my project ID, and I've got the image here, node app. You know, mine is 02. That is the name of my image over here, and I've already tagged it, you know, so it's really up to you how you want to tag it. I call it node app 02. I can call it 02 here, so it just can be a little uniform. And if I press enter here, then I've already tagged that image. If I go ahead and type Docker here and images, you would see what I've got here. So that's my Docker app 2 here. You know, that's the repository that I created. That's what I used to have before. This is what we just created now. Then I can push it. You know, go ahead and push these directory, and I'm going to actually modify my own command here just a little bit, because I modified this to be too early on, and the project ID is 1071. So go ahead and push this image now, and now, just like we had to pull an image earlier on, now we're pushing an image now, and anybody else can go ahead and pull this image and use it for what they want to use it for. As you can see, it might take a little while, but eventually we're going to be done, and then you can actually point, this URL to other people to pull down this image. So we're done pushing our image to online repository. So to view our image, all you need to do is go online and enter this directory, but then go ahead and put a slash in front of it and type my project ID, which is 1071, and put a slash. I'm gonna have to type my node dash app, depending on what as you can see here, that is the image I just put 3 minutes ago. You can see that. That's on Google repository. So we've successfully uploaded our image. Now at this point I can go ahead and remove all containers. To remove the container, you have to stop them first and then you remove them. So I'm going to clear up my screen now. I'll show you what we have here. Dockers. That shows you all the images we have, and you can see all the containers that I have. We've got 2 containers. We've got a couple of images here. The one we've pushed and the one that's still there. I can go ahead and kill and stop all my Dockers container. I've stopped all the 2 images, as you can see. Now I can go and remove those containers. So remove all of them. And now I can begin to remove the images. You will not be able to remove the images until you've removed the container that's running on the images. Come over here. Now it says CBF 1071. So I've untagged this one. I don't have any image attached to that. That's okay. I'm going to remove the original base image that we pulled down earlier as well. Untag it, and then I'm going to remove it. So you can verify that we've deleted all the containers and all the images by just running Docker images here. You can see we don't have anything there, and we don't have any container. If we run PS, we don't have any container. So now we're going to go up here again and pull down our own image from our own repository, which is CBF 1071, and the name of my image is actually 02. You can go down and you start pulling it down. You can see, and this is what if you have a really nice application that you've containerized, you can push the image to the cloud, and anybody can pull it down and then run it, as long as you give them permission to do so. Alright, so now that we've pulled down our images, now I can go ahead and try to pull the image down. I'll change this again to, and actually before you run this, we can quickly just run Docker images here. So that's the one we pulled down. So I can go and run these images. It's 2. So come back over here and specify and I can run in whichever port I want to run it, which is the only one running there now. And if I were to go and do this again, you can see what a beautiful world. So what this lab has essentially done is just to walk us through the process of creating a container, running a container from our local directory, or pulling it out from a general public repository, building up our own image, creating our own containerized application, modifying it, pushing our own base image and the containerized application to the cloud, and then pulling it down and running it. In the next video, we'll be covering how to use Kubernetes to actually manage and administer a lot of these container in form of a cluster. Thank you.